What the committee said was that they've awarded it to him for his extraordinary efforts to strengthen international diplomacy and cooperation between peoples, and his outreach to the Muslim world and his efforts to curb nuclear proliferation. Now, some could argue that these are mostly speech-oriented. He's given speeches around the world, but he's only so new into his presidency, 9 months, that there haven't been yet a string of accomplishments, but certainly important words.
This arguably could be the third person to win the award for not being George Bush. Al Gore, Jimmy Carter.
I think that is a really important point.
And President Barack Obama, who basically ran on being the polar opposite of George Bush, or what's perceived to be George Bush's values, opinions, and policies. In fact, the quote from his diplomacy is founded in the concept that those who are to lead the world must do so on the basis of values and attitudes that are shared by the majority of the world's population.
Yeah, and apparently the committee said it attached special importance to Obama's vision of and work for a world without nuclear weapons. Okay, so he's got that vision thing going on, but at the same time, what exactly has he accomplished?
Well, he did chair the committee in the UN.
He did do that.
Yes, but Iran isn't paying attention. If there's an actual accomplishment for getting rid of nuclear weapons.
Right. If there were a breakthrough, you would go, wow. Obama brought the sides together, and he got Iran to disarm. He should win the Nobel Prize for Peace. But what has he done so far? Also, the committee cited his outreach to the Muslim world, and yet, you know, what really has changed? And
would he switch it all for the Chicago Olympics? We don't know. But here's the other thing to keep in mind. There were three things that happened. Number one, the Dalai Lama wanted to come and meet with the President of the United States. He said, no, I think it'll aggravate China. They just decided not to fund a Iranian human rights watchdog group because they're afraid it's going to aggravate Iran. And then on the other side, we see an acquiescence on another issue within the Middle East, where they decide we're not going to go ahead and add more troops over to Afghanistan. We're going to pull our troops out of Iraq. So there are some moments here that maybe the rest of the world's going, he's doing what he said he was going to do.
Well, yeah, but but I think Ali also touched on a really good point earlier, and that is he's made what has he done other than given some speeches? And we'd love to have you email us right now at friends@foxnews.com. I mean, can you figure out why Barack Obama has just won the Nobel Prize for Peace? We're a little mystified.
And I mean, not to take anything away from the president, but when you compare it to the other people, and I just used Greg Mortensen as an example, if you've read his book, 3 Cups of Tea, it's been a bestseller for 2.5 years, building schools with your bare hands and changing the entire composition of these little remote villages, that's something that you can point to that has spread peace. There are more kids who are educated and fewer who will take up jihad as a result, direct result of what Greg Mortensen did. I'm just so disappointed, actually, if I may admit, that he didn't win, because I really
had no idea you were pulling for Greg.
I was pulling for him, and I guess all those letters to the Oslo committee didn't work for me.
And by the way, the President of the United States did call up the Pentagon and said, I know we have thousands of nuclear weapons. Let's knock it down to hundreds of nuclear weapons. Hey, Soviet Union, now you're Russia. Let's get together and decide to abolish nuclear weapons.
But once again, it is extraordinary to think that he was nominated out of the 200 and some odd people were nominated. Barack Obama was nominated after being in office for 2 weeks. Wow. Congratulations, Mr. President. You just won the Nobel Prize for Peace. Right. What are you doing now?
Well,
Disney World?
Remember Jimmy Carter won it kind of out of nowhere because he had done stuff throughout his career, but they just said, we're going to bestow this on you this year.
Yeah, so that was like a Lifetime Achievement Award.
Right. All right. Well, on the heels of winning the Peace Prize, President Obama is set to talk about war. He's meeting with his national security team again today about what to do in Afghanistan.